WARCAST. Welcome to Age 4. Again, this is the Age of Ancestry. Your host, Wind, starting this podcast off a little bit late today. We do have a bit of ground to cover, so we want to get started first. However, this being kind of a landmark in the age. We're getting pretty close to mid time for the year right now. Sorry for the age. So, I felt like I wanted to add something a little special. Of course, be sure to check for special written work in the forums and in the Discord server from time to time, as periodically, I'm inspired by what I see in the world around me. Somewhere near the western woods, the ground shakes with the thunderous echo of hundreds of thousands of marching troops headed to secure water sources wherever they can be found. Kingdoms hoard all the resources they can, and the sun seems to stay longer in the sky than ever before. Like some dark magic, it feels like as if high noon would last half the day. Villagers are scared. Entire towns are being reduced to ashes, as there is not but one drop of moisture in the air. Powerful mages are doing strange things to the world of legends, and it is the commoners who pay the price. Strict entry guidelines have been instituted and placed on every race's territories, and alliances matter more than ever, since the God Emperor himself decreed that everyone shall henceforth be known by their father and mother's races, and no longer by the aptitude and assigned classes in the world. Entire fields burn as the dragons ravage the land, and marauding armies leave no fresh water for the farmers to live, let alone save their crops or houses from turning to ash. In the night, all manners of sounds are carried by the winds of change, so much as to step outside the city walls after dark would be a death sentence. The night is not for the living, my friend. All right, and without further ado, let's dive into the wars currently in progress. Now we got our top 10 chart. As you can see, Barco is no longer clearly on top there. But before we look at the top 10 chart, let's just take a look at who's completed their wars since the last podcast. Shout out to WARCAST 1-4. This is the old one. Let's just fix that right now and get that loaded up. I was pretty sure I had changed that already. I must have gotten slightly distracted here. All right, there we go. Utopia, U2 and Chill, 1-2 defeats. I was fired because 2-8. It's a 4-day war. It might be slightly less. I believe the days are off slightly because it does keep counting, despite the kingdom having finished their war already. So that war is about 3 to 4 days. Ghetto Vets defeats OldGeezers. Does a mid-time war, I believe. Big Trees Fall Hard defeats Sesquipedalian War Agreed. That was a min-time war as well. Drunk Cider defeats Having a Beer as well. I believe that was a min-time war, but we're going to see as soon as we take a look. But congratulations everyone that is currently in war right now. Quite a few wars currently going on in the world. Very exciting stuff. So let's just take a look at who's in the top 10 right now. Let's clean this thing up a little bit. It's the beauty of this little system here. You can actually see who the top three are without too much interference. So Drunk Country, Cider 4-4, fresh off their victory, has taken the lead ever so slightly by recruiting attackers 5-7. Duck Says Quack appears to be growing. Interesting to see what they're going to do here. Barco Loco in fourth place here, just below Ducks. Should be interesting to see who they choose to go to war with. Worms slightly smaller, and Reborn of Noah just trailing right behind with Utopia Crosswords not too far behind them. And Mickey going on holiday for a week right below that. Look how closely stacked these kingdoms are. I mean, as soon as everybody leaves ceasefire, there's going to be some epic wars going on, I think, in year 4. So definitely keep an eye out to see what's going on. Let's take a quick look and see what happened in some of these wars that are over. I was fired because is defeated by U2 and Chill. As you can see, tight battle in the beginning. However, U2 and Chill definitely had the stronger attacking force because they were able to walk away at the end of the war with those acres. And again, extremely strong performance here. Definitely some bigger provinces to start on the Blue Kingdom side after the first few waves, but clearly whatever their plan here was didn't work out for them in the long term. The long-term plan for U2 and Chill seemed to have worked out a lot better for them. Quickly looking at how impacted they were. As you can see, they're quite large in comparison here. However, their bottom end guy just reset. And the guy below that, I mean, looks like you may as well have just reset. So they definitely have some provinces in bad shape over at U2 and Chill, and maybe that's why this Doyle guy reset. Probably, he's probably one of these nice little drops right here or something like that, and really didn't like his province combination. But if that was the case, definitely reach out to me and let me know what you were playing and why you switched it up. So good job to everyone in that war. Let's take a look at this war. Ghetto Vets versus OldGeezers. This is another one of our micro wars. Um, I never really saw anything going for OldGeezers from the beginning. Seemed like Ghetto Vets, more or less had control of this war the entire time. Definitely their war to lose if that really was even possible. I mean, they definitely conquered and took all the honor on the way out, leaving OldGeezer still with a decent amount. But you know, th- still, it always hurts to lose honor when you're not a warring kingdom, especially when you're getting close to the middle of the age. So good luck, good job to Ghetto Vets, and good luck to Geezers, whatever it is you decide to do for the rest of the age. Not too many options out there for micro kingdoms, so best of luck. Let's see what we're doing here next. Big Tree Falls Hard and Sesquipedalian War Agreed. Big Tree Fall Hard definitely took the land away on this victory. I mean, they were in strong control pretty much of the entire war. It looks like really no contest here. Um, definitely an easy war for Big Trees, and you can see here again, they're short 5 provinces. So that was a giveaway war to Big Trees. If they had lost this war, sad times for them. Let's move on to the next one. Drunk Tree Cider versus having a beer. Looks like Drunk on Tree Cider just recently, uh, you know, managed to obtain the divergence here, and having a beer was really never able to come back from that. So it definitely hurt them for sure. I do have some notes here. Let me just see where we are. Beers versus 4-4. Here's a news report we quickly look at. This is from Beer's side. So as you can see, they're low on the attack side. Total attacks made about 100 less, 3,000 less acres. Still a good amount of attacks going back and forth, but as you can see, they're down the acres, down the attacks. In terms of who's been hit the hardest, I mean, Vicky Mendoza took it pretty bad. Let's check out the enemy side. I mean, these guys did get beaten up pretty bad, but they're not exactly in the worst position, especially considering they won the war. So good on them. Quick look at the uniques shows that there isn't too much difference between the kingdoms, um, except for the first province here that's labeled first. Seems to have 7. Otherwise, it seems like a pretty even dispersal across the rest of the kingdom. But definitely looks like 4-4 had more attackers. Definitely more people were marching on their side, more provinces. So that probably played a role in it as well. Let's check out some notes from the Monarch here. Their DE led all NM runs. MV with lots of sabotage wizards, stop recasting self spells, then NM pitfalls, pretty standard stuff for a nightmare wave. Their core of attackers were Dwarf Undead with 24/7 RM and CS. Yes, of course. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty brutal to have that. There's only a couple extra things that you could stack on top of that that would make it even more painful. You know, considering when you're a TM, you want to make every cast, every op count. They have 15 fairies full and hybrid, which means a lot of fireballs and chastity. I mean, that pretty much says it all right there. Really strong opponent. Props to them for a well-deserved win. They also sabotage wizards on the chain provinces right before land arrives to prevent any landlust attack attempts. This is a great strategy. For a long time, people weren't too sure how to use landlust properly to recover their provinces after chains. Now these guys are even taking it a step further and sabotaging wizards. In assuming that they're going to know enough or they're going to have the ability to actually attempt those land lusts. So, I mean, this is a double-edged sword. I think against a more prepared kingdom or more veteran kingdom, this would definitely be the way to go with the sabotage wizards. However, as I said, Landless is not exactly the easiest spell to cast. It's one of the most expensive, hardest to pick targets for. Let's just put it this way: I see a lot of less favorable Landless attempts than than favorable ones most of the time throughout the many years that I've witnessed chains and wars and so on. So definitely useful in certain circumstances, but maybe a little bit overkill for some kingdoms. So good job to everyone in that war. I do have some more notes going forward for the rest of the war, so we're just going to move that over here. I'm just going to take a quick look at my setup here just to see where we're at, see the time. Let's see if anyone's posted in the chat window. Where is the chat window? Oh, you know what? Unfortunately, I don't think the chat window wants to work right now. Oh, there it is. We got Cylinder saying hello, and why are there so many kingdoms with tree names? Woods is becoming more popular over time. Yes, it appears so, Cell. I think you have started a trend. Good job. All right, Cell starting trends. Apparently, he is um, mentioning that there's a lot of tree kingdoms out there, and he is right. There is definitely a bunch of tree kingdoms out there now. But where is that pesky chat window? I really do want to find out what happened to that thing. For some reason, it is there. It is. Hey, there we go. Now we can see it. Hey, Cell. There we go. All right. So I got that chat window open now. Kind of keep an eye on what's going on over there. Um, this is 1.5's banner, pretty sweet banner. I've seen this one before. I mean, it's pretty cool. Props to the artist. I mean, they did a good job. I really love when they take away the background for the image, so you can kind of see the image behind. It's good work there. Here's our chart. Let's move on to some wars currently in progress. Winx Club War Agreed 5-9 versus War Agreed 4-1. Winx Club seems to be in the lead acre-wise. I mean, a quick look at the actual provinces and what's going on here. Um, they are one province down on Winx. Not totally uncommon for experienced war kingdoms to go to war short on provinces. They definitely made up for it, though. I mean, if you look at the net worth side of things to see who's done the most damage here. I mean, there's a significant amount of damage between these three provinces, but this guy took a real good beating. Um, these two as well. I'd have to say, if you add them up, they're pretty close together, but definitely more damage on this side of the chart. So it'll be interesting to see what the net worth side looks like now. Um, Kind of what I was expecting. I definitely saw Blue Kingdom kind of coming back. Uh, and I think that's what I was talking about in the last podcast. It seems like they were, just playing the right moves and just being in the right spot at the right time to turn this war around. A look at the honor side shows that they were able to achieve convergence again and divergence. This wave now that's currently going on will depend if it's possible for them to pull away, and it does seem like that is currently the case. So best of luck to both sides in that war. Let's move on to the next one. We got Barroom Brawling versus Schizophrenic Cocktail. Quick check on the land side of things. It looks like Blue Kingdom Barroom just made a nice little wave there, took down some acres off of Schizophrenic. Quick look at the land side to see if any provinces are in danger and who's big and who's not. Um, wow, definitely looks like this war should be leaning towards Schizophrenic, but as we said, not always the biggest kingdom is the winner. But they do seem to be in control of this war at the time, net worth wise. Quick look at the honor side to see what's going on. Definitely looks like this is Schizophrenic's war. Um, the enemy is doing a good amount of damage, but if we look at the change here, and if we look at the main numbers, Schizophrenic is definitely doing more damage and taking honor. Um, in my mind, there's different factors that play when it comes to how much net worth damage you do, how much acres you take, and how much honor points you take, and where you are in relation to your enemy at that war. But usually, those three indicators are pretty good to say, what part of the war you're currently controlling. High honor points maybe means you're taking down a lot of big attackers, so really deep chains. You're controlling the TM side of the war, because that's where most of the honor comes from, until you're taking down those big attackers. Otherwise, if you're just doing skim hits or micro chains, you're just skimming a bit of honor off the top. You're never really making a big landslide change. But currently, this looks like it's Red's war to win. So best of luck to both sides. Moving on to the next one, recruiting road warriors versus Romania. Romania seems to have taken an early lead in this one. I mean, this definitely looks like it's their war. Um, this is their war. They're two provinces up. This is a similar trend as we saw in the Ghetto Vets war with the OldGeezers. No contest here, really. I mean, it's almost as if one side has a plan and the other side just kind of just like, hey, YOLO, let's do whatever we want to do, guys. All right, go. And then you get a handful of people making a nice little chain, and then you get your other half of your attackers hitting weird targets or making bad hits, um, giving TMs that saturation effect when you hit them and temporarily increase their TPA and WPA, and then you get them attacking on top of the same targets. It's just a nightmare when you don't have a plan. It really helps to have a plan, and you can kind of tell in some of the wars, um, when there doesn't seem to be a very solid plan in place. But again, remember, Romania did face some very tough kingdoms this age, so they are well or more than enough prepared to deal with any ghettos or any non-top 10 kingdoms. If you remember, Romania actually did war Barco, as their first war, and although they were decimated, so was Utopian Crosswords. But if you look at the next war, Utopian Crosswords went to war with Chaos Never Ending, who defeated several other kingdoms prior to that. Defeated them extremely well too. I mean, it was a very clear, decisive victory. And then Utopian Crosswords went to do that, want to do that to them. So if you think about the tier of who's warring who and who's on what skill level, um, really helps to pay attention to what's going on. But I mean, if you look at the numbers here, almost 2 million on network damage to less than 300,000 on Romania. I think we know where this war is going. Good job though, Romania. I mean, you've been kicking butt in all your wars after that Barco one. So best of luck to you for the rest of the age. Let's check out the next war. We've got Dyslexic Defenders versus Pillow Talk. Now, I had my hopes that this was going to be a tighter war. However, some of the both sides kind of shared with me that, the defenders there actually ate another wave during the hostile. So they essentially, I believe, what was said is they ate an extra wave at least. So there was some outside interference, and then eventually they went into the war anyway. So they definitely entered the war at a serious, disadvantage with regards to outside attacks and how many times they were hit, to the number of hits they were able to make. So definitely a bad start for them. I think this war would have been much closer, maybe a much tighter battle like Pillow Talk's last war. Definitely, this war could have gone on longer. I think if the both sides had entered, more on even footing. Quick look at the notes here. Um, this is our information that we have from earlier today. Um, Pillow Talk provided this information, so thank you, Pillow Talk. As you can see here, quite a difference in acres, quite a difference in net worth, TPA and WPA science, quite a difference, double the peasants or more. They're up 60k troops, 500k more econ. I don't even know what else I need to say at this point. At this time, 7 hours to moon time, and they're adding hours to their hits. So, I mean, that kind of tells us what's going on in this war, um, because I think we all know what adding hours means, and generally they're trying to recover some land, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do that. Pillow Talks looks to have just finished a very strong wave. I mean, their entire army must have been home or something. before min time here, because we are approaching min time in 2 or 3 hours. This definitely doesn't look like a war that dyslexic defenders can walk away from without um, taking even more damage. And with Pillow Talk gaining so much land, I will be surprised if they even do plus time, because they've already grown quite a bit. A victory at this point will put them right up into range of all the top three, top four, including Barco, once they leave their ceasefire. So unless they go to war, there's very good potential for those kingdoms at the top who've kind of just been sitting around, or, will leave ceasefire sooner to kind of sit around and camp out kingdoms that grow too much from a really strong war victory, and conversely, they're not prepared on the TPA, or rather the WPA and science side of things. Wizards Breaker is a huge, huge thing. Also, the elite side of things, like if you're doubling and tripling in size, it's even with a 4-day ceasefire, it can be very taxing to make sure that you achieve that 100% elite conversion, or even 50% elite conversion, and still manage to train lots of wizards and things like that. In the meantime, you kind of have to have priorities, but definitely the extra day helps. So it's nice to have. So I think we all know where this war is kind of heading. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a mid-time war here. We'll definitely find out in the next podcast, though. I definitely think one of these two kingdoms will share the formatted war summary for me, so there shouldn't be any issues getting the data for this war. We've got Cell over here. Let's just move that out of the way so we can still kind of see what's going on here. As I said, just a quick review of the charts here. I mean, they're definitely getting their butts kicked, um, and as I said, that's probably mostly due to how they entered the war. So definitely hurt them a fair bit the way they started out. So best of luck to both sides. Let's look at the next war here. We've got Unknown Kingdom versus Marauding Critters. Um, it seems like Marauding Critters is in the lead here. I do have some notes for them. Net worth side of things, it looks like a tough battle. They're definitely doing their best. They're the best they can to pull this war back. As you can see, they're pretty close to achieving some convergence here, but just never quite there. I mean, it's a very good attempt. Will it be enough to get them where they need to be? I'm not sure. I'm just going to hide that chat for now because it's a little bit distracting. Um, Nothing's really going on there either, and I think it did cover up part of the graph probably for one of the wars that we were just looking at. But again, these are wars we will probably come back to since they weren't completed anyway. So we'll get a second look at them. So no need to fret. We will cover all of the information here. So let's take a look at our notepad here and see what I've got on the 1-5 war. So this was yesterday. I did post this data yesterday. This is from Marauding Critters side of things, and then I got the information today at about 6 p.m. So that was about 4 hours ago, roughly. They had just sent their second topaz to 412. And the most recent intel that was provided, they're currently up acres, slightly down on net worth, pretty even in terms of TPA, WPA, and science. Peons, they have a bit of a lead in, a little short on units as they were at the beginning of the war, but they have the stronger econ here. So with them sending the dragons, having stronger econ, they can easily flip this unit difference. Same with the net worth difference, and TPA and WPA and science will all fall into line, as they continue to issue these dragons and maintain a stronger econ while training. So definitely, nowhere near the end on this war. They don't have to give up. I mean, it would be a tactical withdrawal, I think, if they did it this time, because they're still in this war. I did that thing again. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely still in this war. They've got some nice movement here. This last wave, they were a little bit weak compared to the previous one, but still making good progress here. As I said, this war's not even past min time, so best of luck to both sides. Plenty of time to go. Let's move on to the next war here. 35 hours, Myths and Legends versus Lord of the Rings. Still nice, very tight back-to-back battle. However, it seems like Myths and Legends starting to pull away now, just doing just too much damage to Lord of the Rings. Quick look at the honor side of things. Nice pullback. I mean, Lord of the Rings is definitely not not exactly just laying there and taking it. There's some good back and forth on either side. A quick look at the net worth damage reveals a little bit more. We'll take a look at the saturation of acres at the top end. Look at the top ends here, 1500. We've got Lord of the Rings sitting on 200 versus Myths and Legends at 176. So maybe Myths and Legend is a tiny bit fat in this situation. And then, of course, Lord of the Rings has humans and deads, mostly humans and dead sitting at the top versus undeads, dryads, fairies, well, mostly dryads actually. Um, so, I mean, that looks like, I mean, there's some pretty tight dryads here, like 300 at 300 net worth per acre on 1,000 acres. Granted, they have lost some acres. They're still running pretty strong. I'm not seeing any deep chains here. Definitely not the way I like to run. I like to run my wars, but it doesn't mean that everyone has to play the same way. Find your own style, stick to it, and you build on it age over age. Best of luck to everyone in this war. It doesn't look like it really has a clear victor. However, Lord of the Rings is going to have to make some big moves to pull back on this one. Not that it hasn't happened, and based on the way these lines are looking, I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually able to do it. Best of luck to both sides on that one. All right, now the kingdom that just had to make this hard, Petropolis versus Petropolis. Again, Blue Kingdom in the lead, land side of things. Blue Kingdom in the lead on the network side of things, still maintaining this upward trend to the enemy's downward trend. Quick look at the honor chart. Same thing again. This is Blue's war to win, so have fun with your micro war, guys. Come on, Red. Put some more effort into it. You can't let them walk away with it that easy. I mean, with names so close together, it's almost like you guys just split up and couldn't decide who the monarch was. So you made these two little kingdoms, and now you just go to war over whatever scraps of land you have left. That's a pretty funny narrative, but I doubt it's true because it would be too funny and too convenient if it were. So good luck, guys. Have fun. Looking at the next one, PainTrain versus Empyrean. I don't think it was any surprise to hear that PainTrain was going to kick Empyrean's butt. I mean, PainTrain has some really strong performances. They usually go in one or two provinces short from what we've seen in the past. Now they're facing Empyreans, who's one province short. Just quickly looking at the damage side of things, I mean, this is the difference between, a really solid wave plan and Empyreans kind of just, maybe they had a plan to chain one or two targets, but it seems like the rest of their damage is a little too concentrated, and it's on too few provinces, that's for sure. And I mean, what I'm seeing here, these numbers are pretty soft in comparison to what's been done to them on that side. So good job, PainTrain. Empyreans, this is definitely not your war. I'd take advantage of ceasefire as soon as possible. PainTrain will not give you any quarter, and they will take as much as they can walk away with. So best of luck to everyone in that war. Mythcraft warlords versus WOLFPACK. Ooh. Yeah, that's a little baby wolf cry. All right, so let's see who's winning here. WOLFPACK currently in the land lead as they were before. Looks like they're maintaining their net worth lead, which is good to see because it does seem like they have a good chance at having a strong performance in this war. This is a little bit worrisome though. This double dip down, never so good to see. However, it seems like they are above the last line there. So that's good. I mean, they're trending in an upward fashion, bringing the enemy down. We'll really see what happens in the next two waves as to whether or not they're actually able to achieve this convergence and divergence again and flip these lines so that blue is on top and red is on the bottom. If they are able to do that with land and honor, and they can continue to control the net worth chart here. This is definitely their goal, their war to win. So best of luck to both sides. But with myself being a wolf, of course, I'm rooting for WOLFPACK because, well, wolves are cool. All right, let's move on to the next one. Crackerjack for charter and code of conduct. Let's take a quick look down here. Good, we got nice even kingdoms here. This war started about 20 hours ago. So 20 hours ago is, sorry, 9, 10, and 20 hours ago. So about right here. Not a whole lot's been really going on in this war so far. I mean, this is pretty much the entirety of the war thus far. The rest of the time is just extra stuff on the grid. Quickly looking at these lines, I mean, definitely Red Kingdom's on a greater path of decline when it comes to land. They are the bigger kingdom, but Blue is definitely taking as much as they can get. Um, and we're kind of seeing a similar pattern here. This triangle is not too dissimilar to the one that we're seeing, on the land side of things. If anything, it further proves that Blue is really doing some serious damage to the Red Kingdom. Looking at the honor side of things, um, this is kind of what we were expecting to see here. Um, I wasn't too sure if Red would be the one to have all the honor. It seems Blue has all the honor, which means they probably have the stronger TMs and more science. So this definitely looks like this is their war to take. But best of luck to both sides. Code of conduct, if you could take this war, I'd really like to see it. I'm sure so with the community. You'd definitely be the underdog in this one. So best of luck, but it definitely looks like Crackerjack's current course is a very strong one, and it will likely win them this war. Let's move on to the next one. Space at War versus Message for War. Again, this war has just started 11 hours ago. 19, again, we're looking at a total period of about here for the war. Quickly doing a little trend breakdown. It looks like they're both kind of on a similar path. Hard to say who's going to win this one. Um, you know, I just don't think that there's enough data here just yet to make a good judge as to what's going on here. Looking quickly at the net worth side of things, I mean, we're seeing similar trend lines. However, a little bit stronger on one side than the other. Um, Again, message for war, more honor, um, more net worth. And quickly look at the Lansing, more land. I mean, they're controlling all three sides of the chart, so this is definitely their war to win. Best of luck to both sides. Let's look at the last war. Colorful Knights Hospitallers goes to war against the Top Grill Burger 10 hours ago. So again, not too much going on the land side of things here. We'd have to see for sure what kind of attacks they're doing going into their hostile, but Knights Hospitaller seems to have made some nice moves here. Quick look at the chain shows a very deep chain on Top Grill Burger. Could be deeper, although it's more than enough to disable this province. Best of luck to everyone in this war. Knights Hospitaller is very well known in the warring community, so there'll definitely be a tough fight. So best luck to both sides, and that is all day. Thank you so much for everyone who shared.